Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to NIKKI BANZ Live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, and I am so excited to have you all here today. I see a couple folks tuning in. I see some folks tuning in now. Welcome everybody. Welcome one. Welcome all to NIKKI BANZ Live. Hey Steph, I see you baby girl. Welcome to NIKKI BANZ Live everybody. My name is Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. I am your hostess with the mostest. Your host for our Instagram Live today. I see all my peeps tuning in. Lena, Cindy, Julia. Okay. I see everybody. Hello. Welcome. I'll give it a couple minutes for folks to tune in so that we can get this show on the road. I'm loving all those comments. Yes, welcome. You are live with me, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, for NIKKI BANZ Live. This is an absolute treat to have you all here. I see so many folks coming in the chat. This is amazing. So excited to have you all here with me today on NIKKI BANZ Live. So for those of y'all that are just tuning in, you are here with me, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, for NIKKI BANZ Live. Every single Tuesday, I'm coming to you with your favorite actors, rappers, DJs, entrepreneurs, authors, influencers from across the globe who are sharing their insights, their tips, their tricks, their successes, their challenges with you all. We want to create a dynamic environment where we're learning from one another and we're learning from these people who are doing absolutely amazing, mind-blowing, successful, awesome things across the globe. We launched last Tuesday with none other than young pole master coming to us live from Los Angeles, California in the United States. But today, we're keeping it here in Mzansi, one time for the hometown, Cape Town, South Africa. Today, we have Siv Ngesi right here from South Africa, here with all of us today. I cannot wait to get Siv on. I'm going to bring him on in just a second. Once again, NIKKI BANZ Live every single Tuesday for the rest of this year, 8 p.m. here in Cape Town, Jozi, anywhere in South Africa or Central Africa, 2 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, Miami, New York, DC, 2 p.m. for you on a Tuesday. And if you out on the Best Coast, aka LA, okay, one time LA, West Coast, Best Coast, 11 a.m. for you on Tuesdays. All right, everyone, I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. I know we're so excited for today's guest. I'm going to give us a little drum roll, and I'm going to bring the one and only Siv Ngesi on with us live now. Let's get a little drum roll going. All right, I'm about to bring him on, the man of the hour. All right, Siv Ngesi coming on live with us. Ladies, gentlemen, however you identify. We about to have this man on. Yes!
Hello.
Hello, Siv. How you doing?
Good, thanks, and you?
I am so good. I'm so excited to have you here with me today. Everyone has been DMing me, being like, I don't even know what to expect from Siv. There's so much energy, so much enthusiasm. So I think everyone is just so excited to have you on here today. We are. Thank you. So I always like to start off NIKKI BANZ Live by sharing with people kind of how I know the different guests, how I know the different people who are coming on this show, right? Because I kind of have a little connection with everybody in one way or another. And I don't even know if you know the full origin story of how I first got introduced to you. So
wasn't it on Tinder?
Yes. It was Tinder, but even before Tinder, okay, I know everybody on here is getting excited now. They heard Tinder, all right? Even before that, all right, I first moved to South Africa in 2013. I was living in Limpopo for a couple years, and then in 2015, I moved to Cape Town. And when I was in Cape Town, I bought, a Cosmo magazine, and there was this magazine that was like, the sexiest men of 2016, okay, here in South Africa. And I remember going through this magazine and I was looking at all these fine men, you know, and I saw Sia Kolisi, now captain of the Springboks, right? I saw Dave Kabamba, one of my model friends here in Cape Town. And then I see this guy, Siv Ngesi, and I was like, okay. And me and my roommates at the time, I was living in this house with like 6 other people. We put all the pictures up on the wall, okay? So we could all just stare at this, you know, for the rest of, you know, our 2016, the upcoming year. And then I get onto Tinder and then I see the man who I saw in the sexiest man calendar. And then there you were, right there on my Tinder. All right, and so for everybody wondering, not, you know, Siv and I, we chatted a little bit and then it kind of fizzled, you know, that was that. And now we've become good friends. So Siv,
Awesome.
It's such a pleasure to have you here today. How you doing today? How you living today?
I am living the dream. I'm busy dieting for this is my 9th week of dieting. I have a bodybuilding competition in 2 weeks' time. So eating 13 to 14 meals a day, exercising about 4 hours a day. So it's pretty hectic.
Yeah, we've been watching your fitness journey on social media. It's been absolutely incredible. And I think one of the things that I always think about, like the first thing that I think about when I think of you is your work ethic. You know, when you decide to do something, you do it wholeheartedly, nonstop, all day, every day. Talk to us a little bit about how this work ethic that you have has sort of catapulted you in your career and where you are today and how you're just able to grind day in and day out.
I think when you have nothing to fall back on, and you have no money, because I grew up with no money and nothing to fall back on, one thing that I knew that you could be more talented than me, that you could be better looking than me, you could be stronger than me, you could have more money than me, but you could never outwork me, right? So my mother always pushed that on me. And for me, from a very early age, I realized that discipline equals freedom. A lot of people are like, what do you mean? Like, discipline equals freedom. It's simple. Like, for example, today I went to lunch with friends and they were eating all the nicest things. And they were like, oh my goodness, how could you do this? But they don't realize when I break my diet, my meal will taste better than their meal could ever taste when eventually I eat it. So discipline equals freedom. Without discipline, you'll never be able to achieve the greater things that are out there, because the difference between everyone dreams, but not many people are willing to put in the work and the discipline. Because let's be truthfully honest, motivation is great and fun, you know what I mean? But motivation lasts a short time. What you need is motivation, and then discipline takes over, and that's when the results come.
Ladies, gentlemen, however you identify, whoever is tuning on here today, I hope you are taking notes. We're going to get some gems from Siv today. Discipline equals freedom. And I think, you know, you touched on a couple of different things that I want to sort of talk about throughout this interview today. But it sounds like this discipline that you have has sort of stuck with you and been with you for a really long time. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, your career, how you've gotten to be where you are today. Obviously, discipline is a big part of it, but how did you first get into acting, comedy, entertainment? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So, I'm the last born son in a family of 2 girls and me. And the thing is that and I'll say it, I was the first boy. And being the first boy, this patriarchal system that we live in, I definitely was treated better than most. I was told I was great. I was continuously told that I would do great things. I was continuously told how amazing I was. We had no money, but I was continuously fueled with a limitless amount of self-belief, all right? And I've always been like pushing and pushing. But what I realized from a very early age is that we didn't have money. But what my mom did try and do, she took us to a suburb, a white area, when I was about 9. And my mother realized that exposure is so important. And being surrounded with a lot of white kids, and interestingly enough, a lot of white kids, for example, have you ever heard a white person say white excellence? No, you'll never hear. No, you won't.
Nope.
No, you won't. No, you won't. It's just excellence. It's just excellence, right?
Exactly.
When they see Usain Bolt run, they don't go, "Oh my goodness, Usain Bolt! Oh, that is black excellence! Oh my God, look how fast he runs!" No, they don't. You know what I mean? So I was raised in a white area at about 9 years old. So I always used to watch a white. It's just excellence was just like, they expected you to be excellent. Like black areas as well, but there's a certain other things that in growing up in a black area, you needed to eat, you needed to live. You know what I mean? And your parents weren't watching you play sport or whatever. But for me, the sacrifices of my parents not being at the sporting games was that I knew that I needed to produce the goods. And I knew when I walked into a room, I needed to be excellent. Because being the only black kid, apart being the only dark kid there, I still needed to be so excellent when I walked into the room. Because I was the black kid, the only black kid in the area at the time. But I knew that I had to be excellent. I had to outwork them, and I had to have better discipline than all of them because I had no fucking money. I had nothing. But what I did have was charisma, self-belief, and discipline and hard work, right? Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, I work hard, but I haven't achieved anything. Let me tell you what, you can work as hard as you want. If you don't have a bit of luck on your side, everyone needs a bit of luck, right? But once you get lucky, you better be prepared. You better be prepared. Or else you're in trouble.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. And I think, again, you talking about being prepared, you talking about this excellence that has driven you, especially growing up in the type of environment that you grew up in. It's so critically important to be prepared for when those moments and when those opportunities show up. Because, you can work hard, right? Be determined, be focused. And then if that big moment comes, that big break comes, and you're not ready for it, then it's nothing, right? Talk to us about one of your big moments, one of your big breaks early on in your career.
I think when you do what we do, it's a treadmill. You're continuously moving, and when you stop on the treadmill, you know what happens. You're gonna end up on YouTube. So I always find it quite weird. It's like when someone has many wives. You can't ask him who his favorite wife is. He can't really answer. But for me, I think I did 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. When I was a kid, I did 24. Then I traveled the world with the musical, Les Miserables. We traveled the world with that. Done some travel shows. I interview a lot of celebrities in America. I was actually one of Chadwick Boseman's last interviews in LA. Jared Butler, 50 Cent, Morgan Freeman, Jada Pinkett. So I interview a lot of those. I fly up quite often to LA to interview them. Obviously, COVID's messed that up. And for me, my biggest career move is still coming. This is still child's play. This is still ground where we're busy putting in the foundation.
For everybody tuning in right now, I love that Siv has just so casually mentioned some of the world's greatest superstars, right? And I think it's just a true testament to your charisma, which you mentioned earlier, this caliber of actor, entertainer, MC, host, the dynamism and the diversity of the types of events and different things that you do, whether it's movies, whether it's TV, whether it's ads, whatever it is, right? You even talked about theater and Les Mis in your early career. I mean, it's just incredible. Is there a specific type of event that you like? I mean, I know you're not picking a favorite, right? But is there a specific type of event that you enjoy a little bit more than the other? I mean, I keep seeing on your Instagram, you keep posting about having a mic in your hand.
I think for me, it's definitely acting for film, like being on film, traveling the world and becoming other people is just incredible. But being in front of a live audience is a drug. You know what I mean? It's like a drug. But being on camera, that's like it's life. You know what I mean? It's life. I can do without adrenaline, but the breath is film acting, and we push through and we really love it. And always trying to get better and better and learn more. and just trying to be a better version than I was the day before, and failing hard, like fail hard, like I fail hard, like I fail hard, like yeah, I don't mind failing. Failing is my thing.
I feel like we don't often hear about you failing though, Siv. You know, this type of energy that you bring it seems like it doesn't leave much room for failure.
You know, I'll be honest, I don't fail often. That's because
talk to him, Siv.
because for me, because growing up failing means you didn't do well on a test. For me, I could tell you I was doing some moves today, for some stunt moves, and I failed continuously, but I got it at the end. But if I didn't fail, I wouldn't have got it, you know? So the word failure, you know what I mean, is a weird one, but I fail continuously. I fail, you know what I mean? For example, I went to gym, I didn't shower. Technically that's a failure because I haven't showered yet, but I know the right answer. You know what I mean? Like for me, have you ever noticed when you open a door, you're able to know how to open a door because you've done it before. But when you were younger, you failed at it. And because you failed, it doesn't matter where you go in the world, you'll know how to open a door.
Exactly.
But if you didn't fail, they say kids, but when kids are young, like learning how to walk, they say they like fall like 3,000 times, like 3,000 knocks, like a miss. Right. 3,000 times. They say an average, whatever. Imagine as an adult, if you fell 3,000 times, would you get up? But when you're a kid, that's all you know is how to get up. When you're a kid, that's all you know. Get up. You know, have you ever seen a kid fall backwards? Kids fall forward. They always fall forward, like forward, and they knock forward. They're always moving forward. They go head first. As you get self-aware, you start thinking falling backwards because you feel safer. But I mean, it's just, failure is just so important. I think the whole education system is flawed how they teach us. They teach us that failing is bad. You know, no.
And it's not at all. And it's not at all. And I think I'm actually reading some of the comments, you know, that folks are typing into the chat here on this live here with us today. And it's all about your perspective, right? It's all about the perspective of what failure even is. I saw somebody type that. It's all about, you know, when you do fail or when you do fall down, do you get back up? Do you have that resiliency? Do you see this as just sort of, you know, do you see this sort of idea of failure as just sort of part of the process? Because like what you're telling us now today, Siv, it is part of the process. We're all going to fail. We're all going to mess up. We're all going to have that moment where we were like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? Or how did I even do that? Why, you know, and then you come back stronger and you come back more resilient. And I think that resiliency piece is so key. And I'm really glad that you're highlighting that for folks today.
You know, so for me, so the last 18 months have been like some of the most traumatic 18 months in the world's history in a long time. I think people don't realize how traumatic this is. Like we have been on like an 18-month war, right? And I think it's so interesting. Like I've been saying recently, I've been saying it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay not to want to be okay. Now, listen, hear that again, because I've been saying this quite often. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay not to want to be okay. You know, and for me, I've been seeing it a lot online. You know, is that you get a lot of enablers who enable other people to say that it's okay not to be okay. Yes. It's okay not to be okay. I understand that, but never okay not to want to be okay. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think, you know, one of the challenges for me around social media in general, obviously we're here, we're doing NIKKI BANZ live, we're on an Instagram live, we're on a platform like Instagram where we're actually not we're told not to actually show the failures. We're told not to actually show when you're not okay, and that you need to project this perfect image all the time. And that's not all right, right? We need to know that the reality of people, whether it's someone who is big in the entertainment space like you, or you're sort of everyday average people, the reality is we have our ups and downs. We these past 18 months, like you said, have been a super traumatic time all over the world. There's so many things happening in our world that can challenge us, hurt us, right? But if we're not moving toward being okay, then we're going to be in trouble, right? And we have to keep this kind of, we have to keep this good energy. We have to keep sort of pushing one another and building that community around us, and pushing ourselves forward. Or if not, then we're all going to fall. We're all going to fail together.
Yeah, it's, you know, I don't think, I think this is only the beginning. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. I really, you know, after recessions, the worst times isn't after during the recession. The worst time is after. I feel like a lot of people, they say trauma is something that happens to you that you can't talk about. A lot of people are not talking about the trauma. You know what I mean? It's a traumatic experience, and I think it's still going to get worse, and we have a long way to go.
I completely agree. And I think one of the things, I think this is a really good segue to talk about. When we talk about, you know, trauma, and we talk about people not being okay, women in South Africa are not okay, right? There is so much, there is so much gender-based violence happening in this country, femicide happening in this country, women being murdered senselessly, raped, assaulted, all these things. Trigger warning right now for everybody on here. Just we're gonna talk about this. We have to talk about it because Siv is such a tremendous advocate and male ally for women and girls that we have to talk about this here today. All right, so you've just been warned, little trigger warning just in case. But women in this country are not okay. And I think one of the things that's really inspired me about what you're doing, Siv, is that you're using your platform, you know, as a man in this country to shed light on GBV, to shed light on tremendous issues facing women in this country, like access to menstrual health products and sanitary products. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, sort of what inspired you to get into this space, and what is the change that you are hoping to make, not only for women in this country and with your platform, but for men in this country?
I heard something that said, if you see something wrong happening, you have two choices. You can do something about it, or the other option is not to do something about it. And I've already tried not to do something about it. You know what I mean? So there's only two options. You know what I mean? And you know, as men, silence is, it's the same as someone hating racism but doesn't fight against it. You know, goes, oh, you can't say it. You know what I mean? And for me, I am, you know, it took me a while to realize that I am part of the problem. Not was, am. So it's quite easy. So for many men, it's quite easy to point fingers at a man who's raped a woman and call him a monster. It's quite easy, right? But no one takes a moment to speak about how he was created and how I played a part in creating him, right? And for me, I just realized that I have been creating monsters. I have been creating these guys, you know what I mean? So I think a part of it is guilt. I think a part of it's like there's a bubbling guilt. I think there's one thing about a man: never make a man feel hopeless. All right? Like, don't make him feel hopeless. Because for me, this whole thing about gender-based violence, I feel hopeless. Like, I feel hopeless. I watch it and I feel hopeless. I feel hopeless and it breaks me. So there's a point of ego about it. You know what I mean? I am nowhere close to perfect. I'm the most flawed man possible, right? But there's guilt. I know that I'm involved. I know that I'm part of the problem, but I want to be part of the solution, right? And here's another thing that I'm going to say, and a lot of South Africans are going to go, who, when they hear this? I don't think South Africa has a gender-based violence issue. I think we have a violence issue in general. And if we do not address the violence issue in general, and do you know why I can say that? Because I'm a South African man and I know that I speak violence. and there are these two fists. And I speak fluent violence, right? And I've had to learn how to, but it's in there, it's in me, and I know it's in me. You know what I mean? I know I have every capability to destroy a man or a woman. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so, one that I find quite interesting, I find it weird that I get so much attention for this, because it's like getting attention for crossing the zebra crossing. That's what the fuck you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? You know what the fuck? Like, oh my goodness, great job. You stopped at the zebra crossing, aren't you? You're so great. You stopped at the traffic light. Oh my goodness. At the end of the day, that's what we should be doing, right? And for me, I believe this is not rocket science, but I believe there's only men can fix this. Only men can fix this. And to every man listening, I have the simplest thing to say. What I'm about to say is so fucking simple. Are you ready, men? Are you ready? Listen to this. Someone else being equal doesn't take away from you. It's not a fucking pie. I repeat, equality is not a pie. Just because you have a large piece, it doesn't mean the you're going to have a smaller piece. No, equality is not a pie. And for me, it's just like sometimes I'm like, sometimes I look at like blatant hate and like blatant, and I'm like, wait a minute, because she has a vagina, and a uterus, and she bleeds once a month, she's less of a person than you. Are you fucking kidding me? She pushes a flipping child out of her vagina. What can you do? What can you? She bleeds for some, and she still be walking and working on the cramps, doing, like, relax. Like I'm watching documentaries about Warren Buffett, right? And Warren Buffett said something interesting. Someone just said, respectfully, Siv, are you gay? My sexuality is irrelevant to the world and where I put my penis. Where I put my penis is irrelevant to anyone.
Also, now, must we talk about that right now?
Right now, you want to ask right now?
For people, no matter your sexuality, your background. Now you ask that question.
Bloody men, damn bloody men. Now I forgot what I was saying. Damn it. No, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I forgot. I had a point to make. It's just, I don't know. It's a fascinating thing. Do you know when the things changed in my mind? It changed when I realized that, first of all, I want to challenge the internet. The internet speaks like masculinity is the enemy. Masculinity is not the enemy. No. Oh, Warren Buffett.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll talk about it now. Masculinity is not the problem. Masculinity is like nuclear energy. It can be used to kill, but it can be used for good. Masculinity is not the problem. Toxic masculinity is the problem. That is the enemy.
Agreed.
Now, acting like masculinity is the enemy is a problem. Because what's happening, you mustn't forget, there are still kids who are being born, little boys who are growing up in an environment that makes it seem like masculinity is a problem. And I'm sorry, masculinity is not the problem. The world needs masculinity. It needs positive masculinity, good masculinity, not toxic masculinity. That is the enemy. But let's not get it twisted now. I'm seeing a lot of like things online of people being so anti-man. The enemy is toxic masculinity. Okay, in other words,
yes.
So Warren Buffett, watching a documentary about him. I try to watch a documentary about someone every single day and trying to learn something new. So I pick people, whatever. So I watched Warren Buffett yesterday. And he said something that I thought, oh my goodness. He said, look how far the world has come, and they've only used half of its power, half of its population. Half. What? We're celebrating how far we've come, and we've only utilized half of the world's power.
Right. And imagine when we unlock this other half. And what you're speaking to, Sid, especially when you talk about masculinity, I completely agree. Masculinity is not the issue. And we all have this duality, the entire world. There is both the masculine and the feminine, no matter how you identify, right? So when we talk about like even questions like, are you gay? What's your sexual orientation? Things like that. If we cannot embrace this duality that each and every single one of us has in us, both the masculine and the feminine, right? Feminine brings this love, this light, this care. Masculine brings this energy, this power. Each of us has this inside of us, right? So when we can learn to merge those two divine energies, right? We can learn to merge those two, complement the two, and lift off this feminine energy as well as the masculine energy. We're gonna finally get to a place of understanding, no matter, again, your background, your sexuality, your race, things like this. And I think it's absolutely critical that we're having this conversation, because there's so many people. There's men who are so afraid to tap into the feminine. There's women who are afraid to tap into the masculine. And I just want to go back, you made this really, I thought, really apt point earlier about how when we talk about gender-based violence, when we talk about treating women equally, treating women right the way we're meant to be treated, it's just the same as walking across, the sidewalk, right? It's so natural, it's so normal. And I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. We've heard your perspective as the man. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there for all the women out there. If you are not part of the solution, you too are part of the problem. I'm gonna go ahead and say that from my perspective, right?
Girl,
and I'm
the world's not ready for that conversation.
No,
the world is so not ready. Because
I'm well aware of that. But you heard it here on NIKKI BANZ Live. You heard it here on this IG Live series.
Ladies' ass ain't ready. They ain't ready.
Yo, they not ready, but they gonna learn today. All right, you're gonna learn today. The reality is, as women, if we are not looking to our female friends and telling them how we really feel about their partners, if we feel like, hey, your partner is actually no good for you, I actually don't like this person, if we just sit back and let them continue, you are part of the problem. If we are out on the streets, out at the club, and you see something bad happening to another woman in your space, and you just sit there and you're like, nah, it's the club, it's the streets, it'll all play out. No, you need to go in and be active, right? Go ahead and support your fellow women, your fellow peers out there, because we need both sides. Siv, you've already come on and said, okay, men need to fix this problem. I completely agree, but women can be here to support as well. So we just gonna create community, y'all. We gonna bridge those gaps, bridge those divides, and we know other people identify not as men, not as women. That's fine. Y'all come in there too. We gonna bridge all the gaps. All right, that's what I'm hoping for. And so, we've talked a little bit about, these sort of gender and sexuality and things like that. And I actually think, again, I know you say you don't like to be praised for these things, Siv, but the reality is you're one of the male role models with a huge platform who is actually talking about these things. So we have to give you a little bit of praise. One of the things I love about what you do is blurring these gender lines, blurring these gender roles and these gender norms, and making it difficult for people to sit there and continue to think about things as binary, because not everything out there is binary. All right. And so one of the things I want to talk about with you, we have to talk, we're halfway into the live now. We got to talk about Savannah. Can we please talk about Savannah, your epic drag personality, one of the many ways in which you blur these gender lines? How was she born? Talk to us about that whole journey of Savannah.
So I obviously I was raised in a household with very strong women, and being a woman was never a negative. It's actually a positive. And so I was really raised, and then during lockdown, I just had I was alone a lot, and I've always been thinking of starting drag. So then in December, I started doing drag, pole dancing, ballet, predominantly feminine things, inverted commas. And then I just love drag so much, and pole dancing so much, that I'm competing nationally, internationally with pole dancing. And drag has just changed my life, man. I've always been confident, but drag has just taken the confidence to a deeper, more authentic and more real kind of love. A love that can stay home late and not have to see people. A love for self that realizes that they're not inferior to us, that they're actually, you know what I mean? So that's what drag and pole has done, because, pole dancing is just a great analogy for like what women go through. these women are able to do things on poles that men could never do. Many men could never do, right? But while they do it gracefully. They don't show how much pain they're in. And that's exactly what the world has done to women. It's put women in positions, put women in strenuous positions and doing things, and they just hang on. And they just do things, and they just soldier on. And then, like, society's now started celebrating how hard women suffer. Are you kidding me? Are we still talking and praising how women suffer? You know what I mean? There should be no praising of how women are suffering. It's ridiculous. Like the other day, I was on a dating app, right? And I was looking at, I'm writing a show, and I was looking through every single woman, and so many single mother. How has being a single mother been so normalized? Do you know what I mean? Like, you try and tell me there's no guy in the system? Are you kidding me? Like, are you fucking kidding me? We live, but on his Tinder profile, is it gonna say single dad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how have we made it so normal for you just to leave a woman with children and then not support? And then you're just a gigantic flipping sperm donor. So for me, there are certain things that just need to be knocked the fuck out. And for me, like, not people, because I'm over knocking out men. I used to hit men all the time who hit women, but I just realized they end up healing. You know what I mean? We need to destroy people's lives. Destroy people's lives. That's my mission. My mission is, if you hit, if you rape, whatever, you need to be destroyed. And hitting you is not enough. We want you to lose your job. We want everyone to know that you're trash. Everyone must know. But then I listened to a podcast the other day that said, the man who can stop another man from a bar fight usually is a man who's been in a bar fight. Which means with the whole call-out culture, cancel culture, instinctively our main brains don't actually call each other out like that. How we do is that we support each other in front of everyone, and then we take each other aside and go, what the fuck were you doing? You can't do that. But the way cancel culture is working, it wants you to out people in public. So now when men are keeping quiet, people are like, what's happening? You know what I mean? But actually, behind things are happening, but it isn't the way things are done here. So for example, even on the rugby field, a guy hits someone, you'll go in and jump in the fight, but you'll take him away and go, what the hell are you doing? You know? So it's a fascinating, this cancel culture thing is quite short-sighted at times. But it's quite interesting how men have evolved men haven't gotten to the like, women are a lot better at going, oh my goodness, you in front of everyone. But men are more relax, you know, kind of, and it's quite weird to watch online.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cancel culture bit, I think, is quite interesting because, again, the way that social media, for example, is set up is to be praised, right? We praise one another. We only want to see the good side. We only want to see things looking good. But the reality is that if we don't call people out for the horrible, horrible things that they're doing, whether it's race, whether it's gender-based violence, whether it's being bigots, no matter what the ism is, right? It's critical that we have these dialogues. And I think if more of these conversations were in reality happening behind closed doors, then we wouldn't need to have such big cancel culture.
Agreed.
But we know that we know that the reality for many men, right? We, like you said, masculinity is not the issue, it's toxic masculinity. We know that the reality for most men is they're taught you can't be emotional, you can't communicate with your partners or with your friends, you can't sit here and have real and honest dialogue about the things happening in your life, right? And so when you're constantly told, you can't do this, can't do that, then of course, like, other men aren't going to stand up and say, yo, bro, that shit was whack. You can't do that. That's not cool. Like, stand down, right? So then we have to turn to the internet.
I think a lot of you are going to hear what I just said and think that I am saying that we're not doing enough. Don't you get it twisted. No one in any right form is saying that men are doing enough. I repeat, I'm not saying men are doing enough. I'm not saying that at all, right? But what I'm saying is that they do have a way of disciplining each other that A, doesn't let people be accountable for their actions, but you know what I mean? There's like a weird way, like I see it on WhatsApp groups sometimes. Like I go in, I call out something, and then the boys take care of it in a boyish manner without either A, kicking someone out, or but it gives them enough space that they don't have to feel accountable, and it's flawed as hell. We have a long way to go, and I think it starts off by going, like you hear people going, she's someone's daughter, she's someone's mother, and I'm like, no, she's someone. A woman doesn't have to have, you don't have to, there's no ownership to someone for her to mean something. So when a man gets killed, you don't go, it was someone's brother. No, it was a person, idiot. You know what I mean? And there's those little things, like using words like our. No. My duty as a man is not to protect our woman. They're not ours.
Right.
You know,
right. I have my own woman.
Ours. You know, they're not ours. And my duty, let me just be honest. If we're walking on the road, Nicole, I will defend you with all of my soul. But it isn't my duty to defend you. It isn't my duty. It isn't my, you know what I mean? It isn't my duty to be there and defend you. It isn't my duty. Like, men are not put on this earth to defend women. It's those things, those days are gone. You know what I mean? So for me, ironically, I am defending you from me. Because I have the potential to hurt you. I have every single, you know what I mean? So that's why sometimes men in the olden days were protecting women from saber-toothed tigers. Now men have to protect women from themselves. They are the monsters. We are the monsters.
Right.
So it's quite a confusing time, man. It's really a confusing time. I believe there's too many words. There's too many definitions. They are changing every week.
Yeah.
I just want accountability. I just want authenticity. I just want vulnerability. And I just want respect. Now, if it's how you treat gay people, lesbian people, trans people, black people, white people, if we're able to do a lot of those things, we could heal most of the issues. I promise you we could.
And I think you touching on this accountability and also about the vulnerability, again, we need to be having more dialogues like this. We need to be having more conversations. We need to be talking on platforms like this, where people can watch, people can rewatch, people can take notes, people can listen. We need to be having these discussions amongst our close friend groups. Like everybody here on this live today, like after the end of this IG live, go back, message a couple friends and be like, hey, we talked about this on the IG live today. Let's have a conversation about this. How come we've never talked about sexism? How come we've never talked about racism? How come we've never talked about these issues that are plaguing us, right? Go back into your WhatsApp groups and start the dialogue and do it in a way with your friend groups where you can have a safe space. Sit at home with your parents at the dinner table and talk about this stuff. I know my mom is here today on the Instagram live and we talk about this kind of stuff at home all the time. And I acknowledge that that's not the norm. That's not the norm, that people are just going home within their family units, within their friend units, trying to shatter these misperceptions and trying to breathe new life and new energy into some of the most pressing issues of our time, like violence, full stop, violence against women, how we treat people in the trans community, how we treat our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. So I think this vulnerability that you're sharing here today, Siv, and bringing all this to the forefront, again, is so, so important. And I hope that everybody on here who's on this live right now is taking notes.
But you know what I do want to say? That
Go ahead.
I always find that there's a lot of flaws in the system of how the internet works, you know? So I'm 35 years old. It's taken 35 to create the toxicness in me. 35 years. And you expect me to change overnight? You expect me to change my ways of no. No,
No.
it's ridiculous. That's absurd.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
To all the women out there, that's absurd. That's ridiculous. Like, there's no chance. There's no chance. There's no chance you're gonna fix every single man overnight. There's no chance that every single man is gonna know what patriarchy means, what binary means. No, that's bullshit. Unacceptable, unrealistic, bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna teach every white person what white privilege is overnight. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not my duty as a black person to teach white people about white privilege. And it's not my duty, you know what I mean? No. I'm not gonna know. You know what I mean? There's Google.
Right.
If you want to learn, you can learn. All right. But one thing I do want to talk about is if a woman jumps into a tank filled with 100 sharks, and only 10 of those sharks out of 100 have the capabilities of biting her, she needs to treat every one of those bloody sharks like they could eat her. So men are trash, like sharks are trash. I don't care what kind of shark it is. I don't care if it's a sand shark. I don't care if it's a tiger shark. I said if a great white shark. The motherfucker will bite me. You know what I mean? Like, they never dropped a man into a flipping tank and there's 100 sharks and he goes, well, technically, only 10 of these sharks will eat me, which means that's only 10%. No, bruh! You treat all those sons of bitches like they're gonna eat you!
Right.
So, woman, you keep using your men are trash hashtags, and you treat every man out there like he has the potential to hurt you, because we do.
Y'all heard it here. In case y'all forgot, keep your guards up, because
Trust no one.
Because the reality is we ain't safe out here. Ladies, we not safe out here. But luckily, we do have a couple amazing people out there who are trying to do some good in this world. And we're trying to have that conversation here today and launch that dialogue. Okay, so Siv, I'm looking at the time. We have about 15 minutes left. We've had about 40 people here on this IG Live who have been with us from the jump. We see you all. Thank you all for tuning in to NIKKI BANZ Live. I want to open it up now. If it's cool with you, Siv, I want to open it up to some questions, from the audience, from our peeps here. So there's a little question box feature here on the IG Live. If you want to type your question into that little question box feature, we've got Siv here for you. Siv Ngesi, he can answer those questions that you may have. We want to give y'all a little chance. Y'all been tuned in. We appreciate you coming in to our live session today. So we're gonna see if some folks have some questions. If not, I can ask them questions all day, but we're gonna give a shot to y'all as well. If you want. I'm taking a moment to see. Okay, I'm seeing no questions. I don't know if y'all typing into the chat. I don't know if you're typing the questions right now. I'm gonna give it a couple seconds just to see. I see some really poignant comments coming in. The comments here have just been fantastic. I love that we have such a sort of engaged audience here today. Just giving it a couple moments to see who might have some questions.
So Crystal tried to say something else. She says only those with intent, and sadly, not everyone has the intention, so we can't paint them with the same brush. So I understand that angle, right? But I promise you, Crystal, if you jumped into a tank with 100 sharks, girl, I promise you, you will treat them all like they have the potential to hurt you. It doesn't. A great white shark does not have the intent to kill you. It uses its teeth as feelers. But unfortunately, this thing is 3 meters long, and a feeler takes your leg off. He didn't mean to kill you. I tell I have a 21-year-old niece. I tell him not to trust no one.
See, there you go.
No one.
Siv, I'm seeing a couple questions coming into the chat box now. So we've got Koi Geek on here saying, have you lost any of your male friends since embarking on your pole dancing journey? That's such an apt, realistic day-to-day question. have you lost any male friends since embarking on the pole dancing, or maybe even the Savannah journey?
Let me tell you something. If any friend of mine is willing to bounce because of an activity I do that is not negative, that is not killing or hurting someone, they can go and fuck right off. So I don't even have time to, I have no data to think of such bullshit.
Bye, Felicia. Or Felicio, whatever your name is.
Whatever
Bye.
the name is. No, no time. No time
Yep.
at all. No.
Yep. Uh-huh. Beautiful. Thank you for that question, Koi Geek. We see you. Okay, we got excuse my nudeness. A practical solution from me, Nikki, and one from Siv. A practical solution. I'm like a practical solution to
To what?
to what? A practical solution to combating GBV, to open and honest dialogue around race and sexism. Go for it, Siv.
I think I find it quite interesting that even when men are involved in a fight to help beat gender-based violence, they don't take a moment to listen to the people that they're fighting for. You know what I mean? When you're an ally, it's not about you being in the front with your fists up. You're working side by side with people. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So you can't not listen to the people that you're fighting for or with. I find that quite a fascinating feat. And I'm going to simplify this. I live in a country that a packet of sanitary pads is 10 Rand for 8 sanitary pads. And the South African government has told our women, I said our woman, has told women that they are not worth 10 Rand per month. So when a woman gets gang raped by 5 men and you're shocked at how could they do such a thing, how do you expect it not to happen to them when the government is not willing to give 110 Rand per year? 110 Rand, that's about $20, $15 a year for sanitary pads. So until sanitary pads are free, there will be no such thing as equality for women. There's no chance. If they're not willing to spend 10 Rand, nah, bro.
Yeah. And for all those of you who are tuning on now who don't know, Siv is part of an incredible foundation called the Menstruation Foundation, which is helping to give sanitary pads and sanitary products to women all over South Africa. Go check them out. Go support. Go donate your time, your energy, your resources. And I think I'll just add my 2 cents in to your question. Excuse my nudeness. I don't know your real name, but we seeing your IG handle. I would just encourage folks to take a real take a good look at your day-to-day life, right? When we talk about supporting people of color, when we talk about supporting women, when we talk about supporting the LGBTQIA community or trans people, do you have any organizations that you support on a day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month basis that are supporting these populations? Do you know anyone in your networks and in your circles who identify with these types of backgrounds and these types of identities and orientations? Because it's one thing for you to just like talk and say, yeah, I support this, I support that, I'm anti-racist, I'm blah blah blah, right? But if you're not actually walking the talk, then that to me is an issue. So go ahead and take a look at your day-to-day life and say, am I supporting businesses that support women's sanitary products and women's rights? Do I support women of color and people of color when I'm buying my everyday day-to-day products? Do I support the trans community in their efforts? Am I resharing? Am I reposting? Am I taking tangible steps to actually do something to create change for these communities and these groups who are marginalized? And if you're not, then you need to start doing something different. So that would be that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's, I think we're innately selfish. And I think just because a lot of people wonder what privilege means. Privilege means that when something doesn't affect you, you think it's not worth fighting for. You know what I mean? And
right.
No, bruh, no. If it doesn't affect you, it's irrelevant. It's a fight worth fighting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Siv, this has been such a, dynamic and important conversation for us to have. Just for the folks out there, we got folks tuning in from all over the world right now, and people are going to be watching this on the rerun. Just for folks Give us your plugs. Tell us like what's next, what's coming for Siv Ngesi, what should we be on the look for, what can we do to support these different things and organizations you're involved in. Talk to us so we can close it out and make sure you've plugged all your amazing initiatives.
So if you get a chance, actually my foundation's busy watching now. It's Menstruation Foundation, doing incredible work across the country, distributing sanitary products across the country. We've created a vending machine project that puts vending machines in different places around South Africa. We're busy looking for sponsors at the moment to give us, to help us build a factory that will get sanitary pads down to R2.60 for a packet of 8, which will be the cheapest sanitary pads in the world. So if you guys know of any sponsors, please get to the Menstruation Foundation, ZA over there. It's actually they just commented if men bled once a month, sanitary pads would be free. Menstruation Foundation, and we will. I will make sure that we destroy period poverty in the next 2 years. And lastly, the only missions that I have a lot of stuff going on, but for me, my only mission at the moment is building the man that I have the potential to become, and meeting that. I'll never get to meet that man, but he's definitely one of my role models, the man I have the potential to become. And that's my only mission, is just to keep on plowing away and trying to be a better man than I was the day before.
I'm giving you snaps. I'm seeing the chat just blowing up. I see my mom giving claps in the chat. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for tuning in. But Siv, this has just been totally inspiring. It's really important, again, to have these conversations and to have critical dialogue like this. What we were talking about earlier, have these conversations amongst your friend groups, have these conversations with people who you trust, create safe spaces where you can have critical dialogue about the realities of what's going on in this world, whether it's with women, whether it's with toxic masculinity, whether it's, like I said, the LGBTQ community, how you think about sex workers, right? We talked about pole dancing. We had Young Pole Master on last week. It's just like, change your perspective, right? Change your perspective, people. And I think this has been a very perspective shifting conversation that we've had here today.
Thank you, Zach.
So Siv, just want to say, appreciate you so much. Thank you for hopping on to NIKKI BANZ Live. Once again, everybody, every single Tuesday, we've got amazing folks just like Siv, entrepreneurs, entertainers, people who are really making a tremendous difference in the world and all over the world. Completely international guests. We got Siv here representing SA. Next week, our guest is coming to us from Zambia. So tune in to NIKKI BANZ Live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central African time here in Cape Town, South Africa, 2 p.m. on the East Coast of the U.S., 11 a.m. on the West Coast of the United States. Siv, once again, you are fantastic. I can't wait for more dialogue, more conversation with you. Thanks for tuning into the IG Live. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your Tuesday.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.